You feel this nervousness on the phone there?
Sir, I've been trying to make an urgent phone call up there.
Well, I don't think it's something I want to do on an overseas phone.
You gotta make some phone calls. Hang up the phone. Prank caller. Prank caller.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome once again to Packernet After Dark. This is the call-in show of the Packernet Podcast Network. If you'd like to call in, if you'd like to participate in the show, please feel free to do so. The phone number here is 608-501-0718. New callers go directly to the front of the line. Quick reminder, and I will mention this tomorrow as well. Tomorrow is going to be the last episode for about a week or so. Taking a mini vacation. Packernet After Dark on Monday should be the next episode, so feel free to keep getting your calls in during that week so that we got plenty to make sure there's no more breaks, interruptions, nonsense, whatever. But with that, it doesn't look like we have any new callers. Let's get started with Beer Cheese Benny.
Hey, Ryan, Beer Cheese Benny here.
What's up?
Listen, man, I actually watched preseason for the first time yesterday. And wow, dude, like, bro, let's just talk about it, man. Like, Matthew Golden, he is him, bro. Like, he is Himothy. Like, that dude, God, thank God we drafted him, man. That's such great hands. He's so fast. I love it, dude. And then, what made me even happier was seeing all the freaking D-line, dude.
Yeah, it looked
like,
good.
Dude, Brenton Cox and, like, dude, just, I don't know, like, everybody that was out there, like, and they look freaking awesome, man. Now, I missed actually kind of like, a little bit of the, first part of it, but the game, but, just like, from what I've seen, dude, like, the D-line was getting, like, a lot of pressure, and, like, a lot of guys were just, like, I don't know, dude. It's like, and I know there's, like, against second stringers, maybe, I don't know. I didn't really pay attention to who the Seahawks were putting out there, but, like, I don't know. It seems like they're showing us something, man. It is pretty freaking awesome, dude. And I heard Quay Walker did something, but although when I went to X, it seemed like maybe it was like somebody was like, yeah, like that was good, but it was kind of like thanks to LVN and whoever, I don't know, but yeah, dude, this should be good, man. If these kind of guys like that are just rotational pieces can be epic for us, because you know, gives the other guys kind of a break. I mean, if they can go in and at least be semi-decent, like, and get some pressure, like, that's great. So, and my father-in-law was at the game, so that was cool. He sent him pictures. He had good seats. So cool for him. And, yeah, dude, it looked like a perfect day to be at Lambeau. Wish I was there, man. Would have been awesome, dude. But anyways, here's to looking forward to beating the Lions' ass. Week 1, making a statement. Go Pack, go.
Yeah, it seemed like a lot of people did end up making the trip, which was cool. It's kind of seems random. You know, you don't see anything, and all of a sudden you're seeing floods of different people taking pictures that were at the game, so that was a popular one. And it worked out perfectly. It was definitely the Packers' best preseason game. I thought they looked good. Everybody seems to be on the same page with that, so it's a good time. Good time. Good way to end the preseason. Kind of, you know, the last thing I want is some unnecessary panic going into week 1 where nobody feels good, everybody's pessimistic, everybody feels all down, and I don't know, dude, they look pretty. Just don't need that, you know what I mean? So it's a good way to end the nonsense fake season.
Hey, Ryan, it's Nate. Just wanted to call in because it's obviously the day after the Packer game. It was awesome. It's also just preseason. I'm well aware of that, but I think we're all pretty excited about, like, you know, Matthew Golden looking good and whatnot. I thought Malik Willis looked pretty okay. I know everybody's kind of like, he didn't look very good. He got really bad grades, but I don't know. He's running the offense, and Matt LaFleur said multiple times that he just, in the preseason, he's just seeing what can these people get away with. He's kind of testing people to see what the worst case scenario is. That kind of.
Yeah, and especially with Malik, like I said, they're trying to push him outside of his comfort zone. Last year, because he just showed up and it's like, hey, you have to start for us. There's no time to be like, hey, let me teach you my whole offense and do what. So Matt LaFleur had to say, let's build a Malik offense. Now they got to push him to run the match. So it's going to be bumpy. It's going to be ugly. The question just simply is, can he do it? That's going to be the question.
That kind of stuff. So, I don't know. I like Malik. I like him as our backup. I think he's, as far as like second string quarterbacks go, you could get a lot worse. You could be a lot worse. I don't want to go back over the Packers history of some really bad backup quarterbacks, but I think we all know the names. But anyway, I was calling in because I had kind of a question that I'm hoping you could help me with, or the robot or something. Mm-hmm. By the numbers, I know everybody's like, all right, it doesn't matter. Preseason doesn't matter for the starters or anything like that, right? My question is, what about the backups? Can you show that maybe the preseason can show if you have good depth? Like, do the numbers support that statement? I guess is I'm not looking for necessarily causation, but I am looking for correlation. So if you could answer that for me, that would be great, because I thought our backups looked great out there. There's some guys that I barely know their name, but I'm like, hey, I know you're playing against other backups, but like in worst case scenario, we start having injuries go down, and we have some guys who at least know the position, know how to play some football. Like we can get by with them. So please and thank you, and go Pack Go.
I don't really know where I would even begin trying to accomplish that. Looking at the preseason success, and I mean, what is the metric for depth? You know what I mean? I don't know. I don't know how I would even begin that. I mean, the only thing I could think is it's one of those things where the amount of work that would be required to make your own metric, as in you'd have to determine who are all the number twos and then go get all the number twos and all the metrics that you want to use, whether that's every single PFF grade or whatever metric, and then go back over 10 years of those guys. I mean, the amount of work that would be required to do that for the value of knowing that, I hate to do it, Nate, but I'm just going to flat out refuse. I'm not. You feel free. I mean, that's the way you would do it. You'd have to, run a correlation between wins and losses for teams in the preseason, and then get every single depth player and assign some kind of a grade, a metric, whatever, and then Excel can run the correlation, or you could have something like Python or R or something run that. But that's a big, long project.
Howdy, this is Jared Schrader, the Uber driver from Texas.
What's up?
So I was just listening. I'm a little behind on the podcast, especially because I haven't been working because I've been helping my wife at home after her C-section. But I'm listening to the injury-prone one for Jordan Love. I'm like, man, this guy really takes any little injury a little too seriously. Because, I mean, I haven't finished the podcast yet, but, like, you can't say he's injury-prone yet. Like, you can if you want, I guess, but no, not really. And I'm sure you already saw this, but we traded for the three-peat guy, the guy who's won 3 Super Bowls in a row. 2 in a row of the Chiefs, 1 with the Eagles. Maybe they're trying to get some luck on their side, get the guy who's been lucky enough to be on 3 Super Bowl teams. Let's go. Let's hope it works. Fingers crossed. Go Pack, go. Y'all have a good day.
And that was kind of my takeaway, because I wasn't a huge fan of the pickup by itself. I mean, the Packers obviously like him, so we'll trust their judgment and see how it goes. But my thought was, hey, if nothing else, we got luck on our side this year, so we got that going for us. And then, as far as injury prone, I mean, again, it really just comes down to, does this injury, in your mind, predict future injuries? I don't think so. I think the guy getting his hand smashed doesn't prove to me that he has a body that has some kind of a problem that's not holding up. Again, if you want to say that that's the case, that this could cause future issues, he's going to have arthritis in his left wrist, which is going to cause him to not be able to catch a snap. I don't know. And then, he's going to get hit in the head and get a concussion. I don't know exactly how that works, but I'm going to say no, and we'll leave it at that. Why don't we take a break? We'll come back. We got Kyle from Madison.
Ryan, what's up, man? Kyle from Madison. How are you?
Good.
I suppose by the time this is airing, we probably already know the final cut downs, but I just want to call and talk about Brian Gutekunst for a second. I'd say I'm heavily, I'm definitely on the side of pro Gutekunst. I do think he has some pressure this year though. Things need to pan out. I don't know that he's on the hot seat or anything like that, but he's going to need some picks to pop here, and they're going to need probably some deep playoff success here. Maybe.
So, first of all, I think Jordan Love is going to be a get-out-of-jail-free card if that guy pops off. Even if, a couple other guys that we hope, Jordan Morgan doesn't look good or whatever, you can try to run that, therefore I think, I'm sorry, he gets an easy pass for at least a year, and we'll push it back a year with the Jordan Love success. As far as deep playoff push, I don't tie success to the GM. Whether they win or lose in the playoffs is irrelevant. I'm not doing that. I'm not going to say that you have to win Super Bowls and a bunch of playoff games, otherwise the GM is a failure. The GM's job is to find talent. And if guys like Lucas Van Ness pop off and Morgan is a freak and all these things go really, really, really well, and they happen to lose in the postseason for whatever reason, like the guys don't show up or whatever, that's not a GM thing. It might be a head coaching thing if we're worried about them not showing up. Could be a training thing if it's an injury issue. I don't know. But deep playoff push, all that that is entirely irrelevant to me. What we need from the GM is these guys that he decided should be on our team are good football players. And like I said, I'm leaning toward I need to see something from you too, because it has been a little while for me before I've been like, that's awesome. Now I'm extremely excited about Golden, and I think he hit one here. Tyron Hopper looks like he hit one. Lucas Van Ness looks like he might take a step. I mean, there's very positive signs, and I can't say it's been a while since the last time I thought, man, Gutekunst is going to have a good year. I mean, last year was a straight-up disaster, and that was the first year I was like, this is getting bad. When Morgan didn't play and Lloyd didn't play, and guys that did play were like, okay, we're not seeing anything. Bullard wasn't very good, and Hopper wasn't very good. Fortunately, Evan Williams looked really good. Edgerrin Cooper is like a blue chip. So the way I'm saying, again, we're kind of on the fence, and I was really worried, but if Van Ness is what it looks like he is, Valentine, I don't want to overlook. That is a 7th-round pick. If Quay takes even a centimeter of a step, same with Devontae Wyatt, assuming Edgerrin Cooper doesn't fall off and he got a blue chip linebacker, Jordan Morgan is the potential for, these are all just like potential, like the baseline is bad. And if everybody just hits that baseline, then there's a question about Brian Gutekunst. But that is the baseline. But everybody that's here is a potential to be a good player. So Morgan, there's potential. Bullard, I think, is potential. I'm obviously skeptical, but there's been some good signs there. Tyron Hopper has shown some really incredible things. Evan Williams basically needs to be the same guy. Oladapo probably won't play much, but that's a 5th-round pick that could possibly do something. Lucas Van Ness would be massive if that guy takes a step in terms of my confidence in, okay, we're good with Gutekunst. But then, looking at this year, I don't know how good this draft class is going to be, but Matthew Golden is another get-out-of-jail-free card. If this entire draft class does nothing but Matthew Golden is a legit number 1 wide receiver, he gets a pass. Belton's probably not going to get a chance. Savion, we'll see. I don't expect anything this year, but, I said that kind of about Christian Watson, where I thought he'd be kind of a redshirt-ish. Not that he wouldn't play necessarily, but, he's not ready. That wasn't really the case. Barron Sorrell is going to be a big question mark. Warren Brinson, Micah Robinson, Nazir Stackhouse. Like, these are the guys that there's potential there for Gutekunst. But the point is, that's what I'm looking at. Are these guys good or not? Their ability to, put that talent in the right spot, to be able to get these guys open, to be able to throw the ball, whatever. That's, if you can't throw accurately, maybe he's a bad quarterback, so that's the GM. But, if it's just disorganized chaos, but they're good football players, which is a possibility, and that's how we've lost all these playoff games. 2020, the Packers should have won a Super Bowl, but they didn't. Not because they didn't have good football players. They had elite football players from top to bottom. That's why they should have won, but those elite players didn't show up and played like crap. You had guys like Aaron Jones getting 3 fumbles. I don't know if that was 2020 or not, but you know what I mean? Like stuff like that. So are we saying that, Ted Thompson was a trash GM because he drafted Aaron Jones? No, that has nothing to do with it. That's way, way, way wrong. And it's not even the coach's fault. It's not anybody's fault. Aaron Jones happened to have a really bad day, and we don't know why. But that, as well as a handful of other guys having really bad days, is the reason why we didn't win that year. And the year before that was a different reason. And the year before that was a different reason. If we don't get into the playoffs, there's probably a stronger case to be made pending injuries that the GM has got some problems. If we're not making a deep playoff run because we're not good enough, because there's not enough players, that could be a reason. But again, we're kind of just using an inefficient metric of wins and losses when we could just look directly at the players and say, is this a good pick or a bad pick? So that's what I'm sticking with. I am not using deep playoff push to judge Gutekunst. I'm just not.
Hang around longer than a couple of years, but I just want to say, I was, what do I want to say? I was old enough to be football aware during the Mike Sherman years, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And Mike Sherman was actually a hell of a football coach, fantastic at running. His running offense is great. He was a terrible GM for the most part. And he was so reactive in how he dealt with the roster. It would be like, okay, we got absolutely destroyed because we had no linebackers. Let's go out and get a linebacker. His solution, like 55-year-old Hardy Nickerson to be dismantled the following year by Michael Vick at home. Like, then we've got a problem here. Okay, I guess we better overreact and do something at cornerback. And like, it was like, let's take Ahmad Carroll as a major reach and he'll bust. Like, he was just always behind of the game, and he would force it.
Yeah.
And it's such a good counter.
By the way, that is a fan GM. That's exactly what the fans want. I've identified an issue this week. Immediately, we need to go do that thing. And next week, it's going to be something else. But whatever. We have to go do that thing. It just, go figure, it doesn't work.
Point to the way Gutekunst operates. And today, I thought was a pretty good example of that. I saw today we went out and we traded like a future 6 for an offensive lineman from Philadelphia, which, look, I'm just relying on people scouting that I kind of read online. I'm not going to go watch the film. Sounds like, generally speaking, he's probably a top 8 guy for us right away or something like that. I was listening to Andy Herman. He said probably like the 7th best guy maybe on our team right away. That is exactly the kind of move. Like look at last year how it went, right? Just we fell apart in that Eagles game in large part because was it Jenkins that went down?
Yeah, O-line was a massive priority, and you can see that. And I think it might have even been Herman that made the point. I can't remember, but it was something to the effect of, okay, you don't like these picks, but where are we at without them? Which, my objection to that would be it's not necessarily the fact that it's offensive line, it's the specific players. But to that point, the Packers are not going to allow, it's not just a player thing, it's a depth thing. We are not going to get to the playoffs, which, and by the way, it wasn't just last, look at when we lost, we basically got booted out of the playoffs because we lost David Bakhtiari. We've lost at least 2 in the last, 4 or 5 years, playoff games because we lost offensive linemen. That might be an oversimplification, but there's a very strong case to be made at the very least. If we had a strong offensive line in 2 of the last 5 playoffs, let's just say, that we wouldn't have at least lost that game. So as much as I'm looking at it going, dang it, frickin' Belton is a backup, and Morgan, I mean, that all got messed up because Banks is hurt, and I don't know. At the same time, let's assume Aaron Banks comes back and he just slots in, and we have Belton and Morgan as backups. I mean, I don't know about Belton. That's probably why Kennard was brought in, but having Morgan as a backup is awesome. It's probably not the case, but it almost feels like if anything happens on the left side, it's Morgan. If it happens on the right side, it's Kennard. I don't know that the right tackle would be Kennard over Belton, but you can appreciate it more that way. Now, again, long term, I expect a first and second round pick to have legitimate chances to take over starting jobs. But still, some of the better teams we had backups that went on to be really good starters in other places, like, TJ Lang and guys like that. Those guys were backups for us for a while. Like, I don't know what, it was like 2016-ish, like somewhere in that range. And Ted Thompson was an absolute monster with offensive line. We had like elite players from left to right, and we had starting caliber backups. It's not a bad spot to be in, that's for sure.
And we just had no depth. It just fell apart. We're putting rookies in there, and the whole thing just fell apart against one of the most ridiculous defensive fronts. And hold on, my neighbor's coming over. I'm gonna call you right back.
And to be fair, I mean, it's not a thing. I wouldn't approach it from the standpoint of I can't believe the Packers didn't have more depth. Most teams don't even have 5 good offensive linemen, much less 5+ good backups. Most teams do not have 5 good offensive linemen. So if the Packers can pull off 5 solid offensive linemen and some solid backup depth, I mean, you want to talk about how should we judge Brian Gutekunst. If he pulls that off, that is a phenomenal situation to be in. And I like Rashid. We'll see about Banks. I'm skeptical, but we'll see. Elton, I feel real good about at center. Sean Ryan is at right guard. We'll see if he takes an additional step. And then Zach Thomas, phenomenal up front. Now, I'm not saying they have to be blue chippers across the board, but if you've got good to great, or at least solid to great, let's say, plus some backups that could start for several teams around the league, then you just pulled that off, and that's remarkable. And that's in addition to one of the best running backs in all of football, Josh Jacobs, with Jordan Love, who we hope is a top 10, top 5 quarterback, with Matthew Golden, who we hope is a legit number 1, with a bunch of really solid guys next to him, and Dobbs and Reed and Wicks and Heath and Savion, and we'll see how that all sorts itself out. But that's in addition to Tucker Kraft, who we really like at tight end. I mean, there's no reason this at being healthy shouldn't be a top offense. As much as we want to look at it as we look at the deficiencies and say that's unacceptable, bro, I promise you, the entire NFL is just deficiencies. I'm looking at an offense right now going, I mean, what's our biggest weakness? Like at the top, is it we got Jordan, Jacobs, Golden, Kraft, and then, the offensive line. I mean, I guess it would be Sean Ryan at right guard. I feel pretty great about that.
All right, part 2 here. So I just thought it was like when I was talking to people at the stadium, the preseason game, like the one thing, like the section kind of was like, not sure, was just like, do we have a good enough depth at the O-line, That was kind of the general consensus, because I love talking to the people in my section, just talking ball, especially in a preseason game in the second half where, like, let's be honest, everybody's just drinking and eating hot dogs and talking mostly, more than watching a game. And that was kind of the general consensus. Like, yeah, it'd be nice if they had a couple healthier guys, maybe another 1 or 2 depth pieces. So to see him go out and just, I know it's not like, I don't even know the dude, Kennard or whatever, but I do like, generally speaking, the way Gutekunst operates. Doesn't always work, but I like that he was like, you know what, I'm going to even throw a 6th-round pick at a guy just to get an extra, role-playing second, third string guy. Because I'm not going to let what happened last year happen if I can help it. Another case in point,
well, and that's also where, not to say that results don't matter, but process really is important. And I think that's where people get most upset because they like sort of that process of I see a need, I see a player whose name I recognize, go get them, and he doesn't, so his process is not my process, and it sucks. But that's what you primarily should be looking at is process. Now, at the end of the day, if you go out and get the right positions and do the right things, but those guys never seem to pan out, then you're just not good at evaluation, which is a big part of your job, right? You're doing things the right way, but you're picking the wrong guys. But yeah, I agree. I mean, not looking at, PFF, just looking at it and assuming that they got good value, it's a fantastic pickup. It's the exact same thing as Banks, just to a smaller degree. Banks is according to, Ian Rappaport or whatever, was one of the top offensive line prospects. They paid him like a top offensive line prospect. He's this big, strong beast of an offensive lineman. If I just didn't know anything about Aaron Banks and never looked at PFF, I'd be thinking that's awesome that they went out and got this big road grading, freaking massive upgrade at left guard. So we're not stuck saying, well, we downgraded left guard when we moved Elton in. No. We maintained it or got better or whatever we did. It's the same with Kennard. I look at PFF and go, this guy sucks, and I can't believe we just gave away a pick for it. But let's assume these guys know how to do their job, and we'll give them that opportunity to prove that PFF is wrong and this guy's great. Maybe it's a scheme thing he fits for us. I don't know. He definitely fits the mold of what the Packers have been trying to do recently, which is getting much bigger run-blocking type of guys. But either way, and who knows, maybe durability is a part of that as well. Maybe being big is only partially due to run blocking and is also due to, these guys tend to be more durable. I don't know. But either way, from a process standpoint, I'm all in. I love that they're improving this offensive line. I mean, when I look at the final 53, which we have now, outside of, Donovan Jennings, everybody here is, usually you got your guy, and then there's just random people. Like there's a bunch of Donovan Jennings, like 3 of them that you're like, if that guy plays, we're screwed. I'm looking at Kennard, who we traded for, Aaron Banks, who we paid bank to, Belton, who's a second-round pick, Jordan Morgan, who's a first-round pick. Those are our backups. So I don't know how good they're going to be, but in terms of we don't have depth, that is the best depth on this entire team. At least it should be. Holy crap, we got 4 guys. We have 4 backups. 3 of those 4 are, should be very, very good based on the compensation given up.
I know maybe they didn't try to do this, he says, with the receivers, but what was another thing that just brought about our demise in that playoff game? It was just absolutely horrid production at the receiver position. Yes, there was injuries, there was all these reasons, there's the quarterback not playing well, but I mean, you look at that game as an objective viewer, and you're going to circle offensive line and receiver as huge culprits on what happened there. And what does he do? Freaking drafts Matthew Golden and Savion Williams in the first 3 rounds. So I don't know. We're going to see, obviously, how this goes. But if Love ends up being the guy we hope he is, if Golden pops, and if he can get if Cooper and some of these guys actually become inshallah, right? Hopefully they're who we think they are. Gutekunst is going to be looking pretty nice, I think. Especially if, and I'm not rooting for this, but if Alexander has some nagging injuries again in Baltimore, yeah, I mean, he's going to be looking okay, but I don't know. I just want to say, that's just a small thing he did that just kind of reminds me of, how it could go and how Gutekunst operates, and I much prefer, the way he does business, even if it doesn't always work. So we'll see. But just generally speaking, I appreciate the way he GMs and really liked what he did at the O-line and the receiver this year. So we shall see how the rest of the roster shakes down. For all I know, watch, they cut him. They trade for him, and they cut him the next day. That'll be awesome. But, yeah, it should be – man, I just want the season to start, God, now we got to wait, 2 weeks? Oh, it's going to be awful. Anyway, at least –
You get cut off there. Yeah, I mean, my perception on Gutekunst is almost flipped just based on how things have looked, in that I would more be surprised, I won't say shocked, but surprised if he doesn't come out looking good. Because, again, it hasn't all been terrible. I mean, what was his last, terrible draft class? 2021 was a terrible draft class. Stokes, Josh Myers, Amari Rogers, Royce Newman, TJ Slayton, Shamar Jean-Charles, Cole Van Lannon, Isaiah McDuffie, panned out for a 6th-round pick, but, you only get so much credit for that, and Kylan Hill. If he nails Jordan Love from 2020, Rashawn Gary gets back to what he was in 2019, and Elton Jenkins. 2022, Quay and Wyatt are both at least role players. Christian Watson is a great receiver, just isn't healthy. Sean Ryan is our starting right guard, who is a 3rd-round pick. Romeo Dobbs is a really solid 4th-round receiver. Zach Tom is one of the better right tackles in all of football, who is a 4th-round pick. Kingsley Enagbare is a phenomenal 5th-round pick pass rusher. And Rasheed Walker in the 7th round is a starting left tackle. I mean, that you might be upset with the 1st-round picks, even though they're not bad picks. They're just not the elite, why isn't he Bosa or whatever. But that is a solid crop in 2022. 2023, Van Ness, again, if he takes a step, that's huge for this whole draft class. Musgrave has had struggles staying healthy, but, it's not going to take much for him to be worthwhile. Jaden Reed is a phenomenal pick in the 2nd round at wide receiver. Tucker Kraft is a beautiful 3rd-round pick at tight end, incredible. Colby Wooden seems like a decent enough 4th-round pick. Wicks is a really good 5th-round pick. You can complain about drops all you want, but the talent he's shown as a 5th-rounder is impressive. Carl Brooks is a great 6th-round pick. Carrington Valentine is a amazing 7th-round pick. 2024 was looking like a pretty terrible class, but again, keep an eye on Jordan Morgan. He seems to have improved from last year. Edgerrin Cooper is the lifesaver of the draft class. Lloyd looks good but can't stay healthy. He's the Christian Watson of this group, I guess. Tyron Hopper is a guy to keep an eye on. If he takes a big step, that's huge. Because I don't have much expectations for a 3rd-round pick. And you really shouldn't either. The idea that all these guys should hit is nonsense. Evan Williams in the 4th round as a starting safety looking as good as he does is incredible. Jacob Monk, don't really know. Oladapo, don't really know. Kalen King is practice squad again. We'll see. But, there's a floor that's not terrible in 2024. If Morgan doesn't pan out, Bullard doesn't pan out, Hopper doesn't pan out, Oladapo doesn't pan, then it's kind of, well, at least we got Cooper out of it, I guess, and Evan Williams or whatever. But there's also a really high potential with guys that are looking quite good. And then again, this class, I don't know, but Matthew Golden pops off, and the whole class is good luck trying to tear down Gutekunst about this class if Matthew Golden is as good as he looks in the offseason. Goody haters are going to be struggling with that one.
What did I put in my coffee? Dude. That is now my anthem at my work. This is Dakota, that nerd in Tennessee. I lose my coffee about every 5 seconds. That does happen. Just go upstairs, set my coffee down, go do something. Say, where did I put my frickin' coffee? So yeah, I think old senile people like us, that is kind of our anthem. This is probably for about the first 2 hours in the morning in the office, and everybody's finding my cup and then hiding it now because it's hilarious, and I've gotten really good at finding it. But that is everybody's heard it. So congratulations.
That's awesome. All right, let's take a break. We got 3 more calls. We'll come back and hear from Bramble, Nate, and Beer Cheese Benny.
Becky, Friday, Bramble here. Listening to the pod this morning, you seem very, very, very uncertain on the whole roster thing. It's very funny because usually every year you're this, and this guy's staying here, this guy's going here. This year, wow, you sound almost anxiety-riddled about these choices. Here's my take on the wide receivers and the injury situation. The team itself is not going to compose a 53-man roster. based off of current injuries and players' availability for 1 or 2 weeks. So what I imagine we're going to see with the wide receivers is we'll see 6. We'll see, Reed, Wicks, Watson, Dobbs, Golden. And then they'll put their favorite number 6 on the roster. And then we're going to roster a few practice squad guys, and anybody who can't play week 1 or week 2 that was on the 53 will probably just elevate a couple practice squad guys, whether that's Johnson or Shepard. So I would imagine the team may say, okay, we'll roster these hurt guys, but we like Shepard and Johnson, so we'll practice squad them and activate them for the first 2 weeks. Because remember, in order to put a player on IR to return, they have to be on the week 1 roster. Like on that Monday, you can put them on IR, and then you need to make a roster move. So if they're going to do that for wide receiver, we would see them carry them through to the final 53. Anyhow, I really believe, moving on to tight end, I think people are really sleeping on Sims. He lost that whole year last year to the ACL. The coaches love him for some reason. I wasn't sold on him, but I mean, I just believe that the relationship the coaches have with Sims, they're going to want him on the roster.
Yep.
100% agree that when you trade for a tackle, you spend draft capital, that you're putting them on the roster 100%. I just wonder if that means that maybe we're going to try to recruit that pick sometime today with sending somebody out. Not exactly sure who, but I could see us trading away some of the DN depth or something. I don't know, but I could see us making a small move. Anyhow, I'm excited to see how it goes. It's one of the more exciting days of the year, which, I mean, I don't know, it's kind of like staring at a car wreck because all these people are losing their jobs. But anyhow, all right, go Pack, go. Talk to you guys later.
Yeah, we'll see. I've got the initial 53 up here. I actually haven't been watching as I've been doing this, so there may have been already some changes. But I'm sure the phones are still working. It's not impossible. They're looking to wheel and deal something here. A lot of people assuming that there's going to be some injury designations. We've already got 2 on IR. They may move some other people. Some are speculating maybe Zane Anderson or something. But in order to move Welch back, we'll see. We'll see what happens. But I agree. This is one of the more fun times of the year, even though it is kind of a sick thing to find fun. It's also kind of ridiculous because we're hemming and hawing about only the players that we probably won't talk about the rest of the year, if we're lucky.
Hey, Ryan, it's Nate. Just wanted to call in with a quick thought. I don't know if this call is going to get played before the final 53-man roster is already released, but I just wanted to talk about a couple guys. One, I think Bo Melton has a better chance of making the 53. This is just my opinion. Obviously, the Packers do crazy stuff, and who knows what's actually going to happen, but if Bo Melton's already been showing that he can learn cornerback, which is already crazy, that he can, he's kind of defying the odds, and he's at least playing okay. He's obviously not very, the best or anything, but, he might pick up more as the season goes on. The reason that I would almost say he's got a better chance than some of the other guys is because he's got special teams upside, of course, but then he's kind of a secret other wide receiver that in a major emergency, if we just keep having these injury problems and we get decimated at wide receiver, he knows the offense. He can come in and he could be, that extra safety valve, little extra insurance policy. The other guy that I think the Packers like more than a lot of people are willing to give credit for is Kadeem Telford. I think that we'll keep him as a backup tackle, and then we'll maybe work on some other guys as some backup guards, because I think where we're really weak is the interior position. I think we've got plenty of tackles, and then the guy that we just brought in, I think they're going to probably use him as a guard more than anything because he's not very good at tackle. But those are just my couple of thoughts. I do like Kalen King. I hope he makes it. I hope they just carry a lot of extra corners, especially considering we don't really have a true blue number one corner. Like, I know technically we'll have to have a number one corner.
Stupid.
But
cricket.
I just don't think we have a ton of corner talent this year. So whatever we can bring in is constant competition, and, depth is always a good thing. Go Packers.
Well, yeah, talking about the offensive line, I think Donovan Jennings is probably the biggest surprise. I don't know what they're so excited about with Donovan Jennings. Whatever they use to judge offensive line play, very different than what PFF uses to judge offensive line play. 5 pressures given up, 4 hurries and a hit. Gave him a 95.9 pass blocking efficiency, 2 penalties, 48 pass blocking grade, 47 run blocking grade. Took a massive step back from 2024 to 2025. Primarily playing left guard. I don't know. I mean, right now, if our center goes down, I don't know what we're doing exactly. I really don't. It's not Belton. It's not Morgan. It's not Kennard, I don't think. It's not Donovan Jennings, I don't think. He hasn't played a single snap of center, if that was their intention. So I guess, Sean Ryan would kick inside, and then, Kennard would play guard? It's probably why they've done so many snaps of Sean Ryan at center recently. But I guess we needed a backup for Morgan right now. And then presumably when Monk is able to come back, he would replace Donovan Jennings, and that kind of reshuffles things. But yeah, so I guess right now, with Banks out, Morgan is our left guard. If Rashid goes down, Morgan goes to left tackle, Donovan Jennings goes to right guard. If Morgan goes down, Donovan Jennings left guard, goes to left guard. If Elton goes down, Sean Ryan goes to center, and I think Kennard would go to right guard. If Tom goes down, I don't know. I don't know if they slot Anthony Belton in there or if they do Darian Kennard in there. That I don't know. But I think that's kind of the thinking of how this is going to play out for now. And again, when Monk comes back, he'll be the designated center, presumably. Donovan Jennings goes bye-bye. And then there's going to have to be a reshuffle. Well, I guess Aaron Banks presumably is back at that point, hopefully. And so Morgan ends up being the backup for Banks and Walker. Again, he's kind of the left side. Darian Kennard is kind of the right side, with maybe Belton being the right tackle. I don't know. And Monk covering center. I'm just, that's thinking out loud what we're doing. But again, I am very surprised it's Donovan Jennings. I agree with you. I was a big fan of, pretty much everybody else. I mean, obviously I was a big fan of Trey Hill. Brant Banks seemed like a decent guy. I don't think that was ever going to make sense positionally. But yeah, Kadeem Telfort, phenomenal player. But again, primarily a tackle. So I think wasn't Banks a right tackle pretty much the whole time? Did he play any interior? I don't think he did. I don't remember him doing. No, he was a left tackle exclusively. He was phenomenal, but he's a tackle. Telfort, very good tackle. I don't think I put enough thought into that particular scenario here. I still think Trey Hill was the play, but I guess they didn't feel good enough about him. So yeah, I guess that's it. It kind of comes down to Trey Hill or Donovan Jennings, and they went Donovan Jennings because Banks and Telfort are tackles. Well, there's Lacita Smith though. Yeah, he got passed up too. I don't fully understand that. He did a great job. He played exclusively center, and maybe that's the problem, but that's what frickin' Monk is. Unless you just hate that plan of having just a backup center. I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, Lacita Smith was great this offseason. Brant Banks looked good. Trey Hill looked good. Kadeem Telfort looked real good. We went Donovan Jennings. So, oh boy.
Hey
Ryan, Beer Cheese Benny here.
What's up?
Just finally now kind of getting excited about the Packers.
Heck yeah.
The Brewers are still the best team in baseball. I will still be following them, and hopefully they can finally win a World
Happy to
Series.
hear it.
And I will sacrifice the Packers being garbage in order for them to do that.
I
know you're going to hate that. I know you're not going to like that.
No.
But I'm being totally serious.
No.
But, anyways, getting excited about the Packers, just for people at work, everyone's like, oh.
Sacrifice your freaking NASCAR, all right? Don't mess with the Packers.
I'm ready for football, and I'm like, you know what? I'm ready for football too, man. But anyways, I'm seeing these roster cuts. Isaiah Simmons. I mean, that guy just didn't fit. He looked clueless, and I was talking to a buddy. He's like, well, yeah, because he doesn't freaking play linebacker, he plays safety. I'm like, we're covered at safety, man. We're good, brother. We don't need him.
Well, yeah, that plus, I mean, they've tried that. They've tried all these different things. The Packers felt like linebacker would have been probably the best spot for him and a good fit for us and a good fit for the scheme, and it didn't work. The idea that, like, he's actually this really good safety is false. He's a bad football player, period.
And sure, he's versatile, whatever. It looks like,
that legitimately, and I don't think this is actually his problem, but that's that question of, are you versatile or are you a tweener? You know what I mean? I don't know if versatile is the word. It's, we'll stick with it. Are you versatile or are you a tweener? Tweener is, your skill set is in between two things, but not broad enough to cover either of them. So you're not really good at anything.
Just quickly glanced at something earlier before calling. So Sean Clifford, I guess, didn't make the cut. I mean, about time, dude. The guy couldn't knock. There's no way he could keep getting away with this. You know what I mean?
Well, he was never going to make the 53. It's just a question of whether he's going to make the practice squad, I guess. I don't think he will. I think most of us are assuming El Guerzma is going to be the guy. But we'll have to see.
And, I mean, honestly, most of them are not shockers. But I think I have to look more into it, but the D-line seems like it's pretty set. I think it seems like Malik Heath made the roster, I think.
Yep.
Just based on what I saw.
He did.
I saw him post something like, I'm him or something like that, like a song or something. You know how people do that. Valentine cut. Kalen King, I was surprised about that.
Yeah.
To be honest with you. But what do you think about, MVS getting cut by the Seahawks? Like, would you be interested in maybe the Packers just bringing him back? I mean, I don't know. I don't think it could hurt, but see, the whole Mecole Hardman thing for me.
I don't. I mean, the fact that he can't stick anywhere despite his size and his speed kind of tells you something. It never really worked here. It never really translated, and so I think MVS is just always going to be exactly what he was when he was here, and we don't need that. I think, could ask the question of, do we need that field stretcher? Most people are going to say, no, we have Golden. We'll see. But it's just a wasted spot, in my opinion. I'd rather have Romeo, Golden, and Reed on the field if we got three wide receivers out there. I don't see a need to put MVS on the field to take away snaps from those three, or Wicks, or Heath, or Williams, for that matter.
It's like, I would have liked him, honestly. I feel like he could have fit into the scheme of Matt LaFleur. So, I mean, if you can get MVS, I feel like he could be kind of similar. He's got the downfield speed, kind of. And I just feel like it'd open up our offense. But I'm pretty sure Mecole was kind of screwed from the get-go when they drafted Savion Williams. So,
Yeah,
dude, I'm excited for this first week, man. And it'll be nice because I can watch Red Zone until the Packers play, because I'll actually get to watch the other teams. Normally, I only watch Packers. I really don't care about anybody else. But, I mean, I like football. Football's fun to watch, so. All right, guys, go Pack, go.
Yeah, man, it's going to be exciting it's kind of like preseason. You get excited, like, oh, I'm going to watch all the other games too, and then, I don't know. It depends on the person, but that first game that pops up that you want to watch, it's going to be Cowboys-Eagles. Actually, I am going to want to watch that, but, you always get excited, like, oh, football's back, and then by, the end of the first quarter, it's like, I I don't know, do something else while the game's on, I guess. I don't really care. That much is freaking boring. But I'll be excited to watch that. Obviously, it's a massive rivalry, even if it's not that big of a rivalry. And I will be rooting for Dallas, as much as that's going to be somewhat of an impossibility. They better get that Micah Parsons thing figured out. I don't need them holding out just long enough for the Eagles to get their first easy freaking W. Walk on into the next one. We need a fluke week 1 loss by the Eagles. But yeah, dude, September 4th. It's right around the corner here. What else have we got? Chiefs Chargers. It's on Friday because the NFL just doesn't care anymore. They're taking over. Good. I want more football. I don't care. Well, that's reserved for high school. That's reserved for college. Says who, stupid? Do whatever I want. I don't care. Chiefs Chargers. Go Chargers. Noon games, Colts Dolphins. You couldn't pay me. Jets Steelers. That's a good one. It's always fun to watch an Aaron Rodgers game. Aaron Rodgers and DK Metcalf is a fun dynamic. Plus, he's playing his old team, which is a weird thing to say. And that happens to be Justin Fields' team. I mean, come on. That's just glorious stuff. Panthers Jaguars, that old expansion rivalry. Outside of that, it's a stupid game. Saints Cardinals is a hilarious matchup. Saints are going to be just the worst. Giants Commanders is stupid. Falcons Bucks is stupid, but there's probably going to be some fantasy implications on that. If you're playing fantasy football, you probably got somebody in that game. Bengals Browns is an easy dub for the Bengals. Raiders Patriots couldn't pay me. 49ers Seahawks, just happy somebody has to lose. That's the first afternoon game. The Packers will be playing that time, so I won't be watching that. Titans Broncos. I mean, I'm marginally interested in what the Broncos look like, but that is a just rip my eyes out of my eye sockets game. Packers Lions 325. Obviously, that's going to be an absolute hard. I'm going to be a just wreck waiting for that game. Other game in that time slot is Rams Texans. Go Texans. And then Sunday night, they got a really good one, Bills Ravens. So that's going to be good. So not that I get to pick, but Cowboys Eagles is a good game. Friday Chiefs Chargers is, as far as AFC goes, I'll take it. For noon games, Steelers Jets, I'd be down for that. Bucks Falcons might be an interesting game. I don't know. 3 o'clock game, we got our Packers Lions. Then at night, we got Bills Ravens. And then Monday is Bears Vikings. I mean, that's a hell of a week 1 lineup. I'll take that all day. Followed immediately by Packers on quick turnaround Thursday. I'm ready, boys and girls. I'm ready. And I deliberately planned this vacation for this week. One, because there's nothing, it's one of the rare times nothing's going on once the off season begins. But also, it's like a little fast forward to football because it's going to be just a miserable week waiting for football to start up. So, you all have a good rest of your day and have a good week. Again, keep the calls coming in. We'll just load them up. Make sure that once this season starts, I don't want to take any, I love days off, don't get me wrong, but I don't want to take any days off if I can avoid it for Packernet After Dark. Season's here. No more days off. Ayatollah of rock and rolla. I'll talk to y'all later. Have a good one. Bye-bye.
August 26th, the deadline's here. 32 dreams just disappear. From the frozen tundra to the waiver wire, green and gold hopes consumed by fire. Sean Clifford's gone, his chance is done. Isaiah Simmons, another fallen one. Kellen King thought he'd made the grade, but the numbers game, it can't be swayed. 6 snaps, just too precious scene. But the coaches made their call. Even the mighty sometimes fall. From the practice field to the parking lot, dreams get crushed when you make the cut. Or not cut down to size. 53 remain. Cut down to size. Through the blood